Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 42 of Therapy Thoughts with Lindsay. And as it has been for a bit, Randy Cash is still way over there in computer land.
Hey, what's up? How are you? What's going on, as they
Doing
say?
pretty good. Yeah, we were just talking before we started recording. Like, I'm kind of looking forward to getting back, like, in the same place as you to record. I feel like it would just make this whole process a little bit easier. I do like the technology that has allowed us to record over the last 8, 9, 12 weeks, whatever it's been.
Yeah, absolutely. It has its ups and downs, but it's once we get now that we have everything squared away, it's much easier, you know.
Right. I kind of laugh like we're going to get everything set up and fixed and then go, okay, let's record in person again. Like, good job.
Yeah.
But
Exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be thing. You're going to be amazed. I have like real video lights now. I have a real camera. Seriously.
You have real everything.
I'm getting there, except real hair.
That's funny. Except real hair. Is that what you said?
That's what I said.
That's hilarious. No, people have liked the video option though. I mean, I feel like if anything, having everything shut down, it actually required us to kind of think outside the box and come up with a new way to do things. Right. And that kind of led us to getting consistent with the videos. So
yeah, absolutely. I've had to pick it up with all of the production work that I do now, crash course in video production.
Mm-hmm. I was cracking up. People really did think it was hilarious when we had like what sounded like a home invasion going on last week, right at the end of the podcast. Gosh, it was so funny. So essentially what happened was the dog got in the pool, and which is fine. He likes to go swimming. That's great. But he hates being dried off. He acts like you're, terrorizing him if you dry him off. And so he was running from her. And so she's trying to catch him. She gets up to the top of the stairs, lets him in, thinks that she can just hold him by his collar and dry him off. And he took off running in circles around the table. So he ran into the extension cord of my ring light, knocked the ring light completely off the table. The light part like disconnected from the actual tripod. And he's just running in circles, trying to get away from her, trying to dry him off. She's trying to be quiet and not like disturb what we've got going on and get him dried off at the same time. It was just a comedy of errors. But hey, I feel like we kept it in there because why the heck not? That's too funny not to share with the world.
Well, comedy just happens sometimes, and you got to go with it and embrace it. I think it's good to laugh. You should laugh. Makes me feel good on the inside anyway.
Absolutely. It's probably like why you do that whole comedy thing,
It's part of it. And I like the attention quite a bit, I have to admit.
I love that you'll just admit that. No, I think.
What do we always talk about? Being honest with yourself first so you can be honest with other people. And honestly, I love the attention. That's true.
There you go. I mean, I think that's important to be able to say, it's interesting. We sort of sometimes societally, we live in this really interesting bubble where it's like we are supposed to want to achieve things and, go after our goals and, have dreams. But then if we reach them or if we start living things in accordance with our dreams, we're almost supposed to be like real hush hush about it. Like, don't tell anybody. Don't tell people you're proud of yourself. Don't talk about it. And I'm kind of like, no, like, you should be able to stand up and go, I am really proud of myself. Look at what I've accomplished. Look at what I'm working for. I've worked really hard for this. And if part of it is that it makes me feel good to have people laugh or clap for me, maybe that's okay. But I think owning it's a big part of the whole thing.
Yeah, 100%. It keeps it authentic. I will say this over the quarantine period, if you will. I was telling my lady friend last night that I think I have taken in so much new information that my brain is starting to fizzle from all the new information I've been jamming into it with this video thing that we've been talking about.
So if we see like little sizzles coming from your head, we'll know, like, don't be alarmed. Randy's just learning new stuff.
A bit much.
I totally get it.
It's been a bit much with the camera, and I got the new lights and with this whole program with the Zoom feed that we record on. Plus the audio program that I know really well, and then a new editing program to edit all the videos after I record it on here. And camera's been a lot. My brain is.
Hey, I say sometimes that's a good thing. I kind of get it though. We were I was having a conversation with some like entrepreneur friends of mine the other day and, talking about like, what has this shutdown, quarantine, whatever you want to call it, what has it helped you with? What has it like sort of forced you to do that maybe you wanted to do and hadn't really been making progress towards, or maybe just helped you to do in a way that you didn't realize you could? And I think for me, it really showed up in that I've been talking for a while about really wanting to get the streamlining of my workshops so that everything is just housed online in like a platform and a membership portal, so that there's no like back and forth upkeep that I'm having to do and trying to stay on top of it. It just kind of runs in the background. That's been a goal of mine for probably as long as you've known me, honestly. But finally just sort of buckled down and was like, okay, if I'm going to have to pivot all of the ways that I do business, why not just go ahead and use this time where things are a bit slower to create? And so I totally get what you mean, because there's definitely days where I get to the end of my day and I'm like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to do anything. I just want to sit here and stare at the wall. Like, oh my goodness, my brain is on overload. Like it cannot take in anymore. So I get it.
Yeah. And I do it all after my 40 or more hour a week work week. So yeah, that's a lot on top of it. So yeah, that's why I've been having trouble forming sentences, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. I'm thinking of other things and talking about something else at the same time, if that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense. It does. It's like the brain can only hold on to so much information or so much new information at one time before it reaches like an overload point. And so if you want to imagine that you've got almost like a Netflix queue, you've only got so many things that you can be watching at once before it starts to feel very scattered. And it's almost like, wait, was that show or this other show? Am I mixing my shows together? What character is that? Like you kind of get a little confused with stuff. And that's why, is because if you add too many things to the queue all at one time, it can get a little bit overwhelmed. And so it just takes a little bit to kind of chew on that information, absorb it, and then have it kind of go more into like the long-term part of your brain and not that like short-term new stuff.
Yeah, I was sitting at a long stoplight and I had a little flashback of video not rendering, and I started...
Every time I imagine learning something new, I'm now going to have this little image in my head of you and your head like sizzling. That's kind of funny. But yeah, it has. It's been, I think, regardless of what you've done during the shutdown or the stay at home orders, I think everyone has had to sort of dig within themselves and figure out how they can grow, how they can develop. And I think it's been harder for some people than others. And that's not a judgment. That's more of just a recognition that when the world drastically changes and we don't have a lot of, lead up time, it definitely can sort of show us some of the areas that maybe we need to work on, things that we're struggling with. It can also show us where our strength is and what we're able to really do in terms of being resilient. And so I think it's great that you're stretching those brain muscles. I don't think they're muscles, but you know what I mean.
Absolutely. You have to. It's like I've said before on your show, you need a hobby, something to take you away from all of life's everything, and this has been that. And I'm very thankful that I had it. And I've been doing puzzles again, too. I like doing those. That's helps.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. No, I think, it's been a time of growth, regardless of how it has felt. And this is true for everyone. When we look back, I know there's all of the memes going around about 2020 and, all of the craziness that has occurred. I do think that when we look back on it, it is going to be something that we can look to as, what did I learn during that time about myself, about the world, about the people in my life, about what I want, need, and don't want and need for my life, all of those kinds of things. I was having a conversation with a client earlier this week, and, that was one of the things that we were discussing was like, wow, I didn't even realize how much I really do need and appreciate the physical interaction with people, just having someone in my physical space, because I've been, basically shut down and alone for the last, 12 weeks. And it can start to feel really isolating. And so sometimes I think it's helpful to be able to use that as a reflection on gratitude for the people that you do have and that you're looking forward to seeing, or the things you're looking forward to doing. I think it's okay to have that kind of forward thinking,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. Keeping everything together mentally during, times like this, man, you need, like I said, a hobby or something, and just something to focus on just to make everything, I don't want to sound cheesy, but make everything just feel all right on the inside,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, that is one of those things last week when I finally got the workshop launched and it felt like all of the pieces worked. And I had a couple of people test out the tech part of it. Like, okay, does this lead to this, which leads to this, which leads to this? And it worked. And I almost wanted to cry. I was like, that feels so accomplishing because I have been working on this so hard. And it's simply because I want to be able, my whole goal is that I want to be able to provide therapy or therapeutic type stuff, intervention, advice, whatever you want to call it, in a format that people don't feel like they have to drive to a therapy office or they have to make a lot of time in their schedule free to meet me when I'm available. This is sort of one of those things where you download the free guide, which I've talked about before, but it gives you a lot of really helpful info to kind of get your relationship maybe started back on track, right? And then from there, you have the option to take part in the mini workshop. It's a 9-video workshop series, essentially, where you get different pieces of the guide broken down or expanded on so that you can really understand how to start using those skills in your relationship. And then from there, it's like a full workshop that allows you to go through modules related to things that we've talked about before, like the 5 love languages, the 4 agreements, the 4 tendencies, to understand the Gottman work that I use a lot in my practice, to understand more about Imago Therapy. And I know I'm using some words that people listening might be going, I don't know what those things are. That's fine. Send me a message. I will be more than happy to meet with you, talk with you, send you as much info as I can as to, is this even a good fit for you? And I am more than happy to do that decision tree with you. I had a few people this last week that have actually scheduled those little consults with me to verify, like, okay, so what do I really need? Do I need one-on-one coaching services? Do I just need the small mini workshop? Could I benefit from the bigger one? And I'm happy to direct you as to what would be best. And I'm really not one of these salesy people. So if I talk to you and I think you could just benefit from the free guide, I'll tell you that, right? I'm not going to be like, nope, you got to buy everything, because maybe you don't want that. And that's okay, right? That whole integrity thing.
Yeah,
I'll keep it real.
Well, I don't want people to be off put by the word workshop, because it's not like homework so much.
Right.
I feel like from the way you're describing, it's a way of getting to know yourself, if that makes sense,
It is. And it's like, you'll get a little video from me. It doesn't all launch at one time. So it starts to become available to you in like a succession of days. I think that's the right terminology there, where it's like, okay, so like day 1, you get like a welcome video. And then like day 2, you get like, okay, here's part 1 of the guide. Okay, here's part 2 of the guide. Okay, here's part 3. Okay, those kind of go together. Take a few days, work through those, think about it. Just process on it a little bit. Come back in a few days. There'll be another piece available, right? So I'm kind of giving it to you in pieces so that you're not overwhelmed. That is one thing I've learned in my practice over the last 15 years, is that if I give someone way too much stuff all at one time, it does one of a couple of things. It either just overwhelms them and they start to feel like they can't keep up, or that kind of like paralysis through analysis, like they don't know where to start. There's just too much input, kind of going back to what we were saying a minute ago, don't want your brain sizzling, So there's that piece of it. And then there's also the likelihood that it will create like inaction, because it feels like that's just so much work to have to accomplish. So I feel like by doing it in like pieces, it allows them to, go through it and not feel overwhelmed by, oh, I've got like 6 more videos to watch. Nope, you've just got 1 video to watch a day, and then come back a couple days, there'll be another one available.
Sounds quite simple if you ask me.
It is. I think it is. I think it's relatively simple. I mean, the work itself is, you do have to start doing some work and thinking about changing your mindset and thinking about, how to approach your relationship and the communication in your relationship differently. But it is simple in theory, right? Maybe simple, but not necessarily easy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things, and I figure what I'll do is maybe I'll just give like little pieces when we do our recording on like some things that you can expect from the workshop. So you have a better idea, right? So I listed out like a whole list of things a little bit ago of what's in the workshop. And one of the things I listed was Imago Therapy. So let me just briefly explain what it is and why it's important and give you kind of a high level of what you would get from going through this segment of the workshop. So Imago Therapy it's just a big Latin word that means image. And it's this concept of what image are you projecting onto your partner? Is it possible that you have some idea in your head of who they should be, who you want them to be, who you don't want them to be? Maybe there's something from your past that you like or don't like, and you're kind of projecting that image onto them. And then what happens is it sets up a certain expectation where if they meet the expectation, there's probably not a lot of issues showing up. But if they don't meet that expectation, that's when ripples start to happen. Now, I want you to hear me though. I'm not saying that just because you have an image of what you think your partner should be, that automatically means they should show up that way, right? It's about recognizing like, what image am I sitting here projecting on my partner? And then am I holding it against them when they don't meet some expectation I've never even said out loud? And so that's a really good kind of overview of what the Imago Therapy, at least the way I apply it to the clinical stuff, shows up. It's trying to understand, the image that you're projecting onto your significant other or that they may be projecting onto you. So it's partly about, just recognizing it. And then it's about, I always say like, we're going to talk about the thing, but then we're going to talk about the thing beneath the thing and what we're going to do about it. So that's just a like little mini example of how that one segment of the workshop would show up.
All I can say, man, is all these years hanging out with you, anything we've ever discussed personally about my personal relationships have always been right on. And I feel where I am now with the success that I am having, not only in all of my relationships, but in life in general, is thankful to all my hanging out and talking with you about these things.
Oh, that's like the nicest thing ever. Thank you. Aww. Yeah, I really do. Man. I mean, and I love that because, I feel like there's often skepticism, like I think I had told you I started doing some TikTok videos trying to put little tidbits of just free therapy, knowledge, advice, whatever you want to call it, out there into the world. And for the most part, it's being well received, but there's always people that are going to be skeptical. I did one on, just the concept of mindset and that feeling that we're never as stuck as we think we are, that I talk about a lot. And, I had some people that misinterpreted what I meant. One person was like, so you mean that it doesn't matter like where I live in the world. I can just live wherever I want, just pick up tomorrow and move. And I'm like, okay, not exactly what I meant more about the mindset, right? Like I can't control the physical circumstances of someone's life no more than you can, but we always have a choice how we respond to something. And I think that's really where I'm getting with this is that, there's often going to be misconceptions about therapy. And there's even people that think therapy doesn't work, and that's fine. It may not be for them, but I would imagine if they're listening to this podcast, for the most part, they're going to at least think there's some truth to this whole thing, because it really is. And I love that you can say that it's like, not that I really therapied you. It's not like I sat down and was like, Randy, I'm going to give you some therapy. Here we go. But I mean, you're right. Like we would sit there and just kind of talk about life or talk about past experiences or relationships and just sort of have conversations about, hey, I wonder what this is about. Hey, I wonder what that means. And so just knowing that helped you. I can't even tell you. I mean, like I'm like beaming over here. I can't even tell you how happy that makes me.
Well, I have that effect on people. I'm sorry. I just do. I wanted to get you while you were
drinking. I took a sip of my water and I almost spit it out. That's hilarious.
You said two things, two words, mindset and choice, and I think your mindset and your choice leads to result. This might not be a great analogy, but I'm going to use it. Michael Jordan, what do you think his mindset and his choices were versus say, the guy at the bottom of the roster of the teams that he was on? His results were so much better. Yeah, he had the natural abilities and stuff, but his mindset, his worth ethic, and the choices that he made, ultimately leaded to him with the great results that he ended up with.
I totally get what you mean. And actually, there was an interesting analog that was drawn about Michael Jordan in one of the trainings I went through not that long ago, that something like the total number of shots he didn't make in his career, someone like did that statistic. And I mean, it far, what do you call it? Far exceeds what you might would think based on how successful he was. But then at the same time, it makes sense because the people that are able to miss a shot, and I mean this kind of to everybody, not just basketball, right? When you miss a shot in life, are you able to keep pushing forward and trying it again, whether it's right away or you take a break and you come back to it, or you take a week off and you come back to it, or maybe even longer than that. But it's that idea that how many shots do you keep taking and trying versus not being perfect at something or not hitting it the first time and then walking away altogether, And that's what I mean by mindset. It's how do you view yourself? How do you view your accomplishments? How do you view your progress? And are you holding yourself to a standard that if you don't reach the goal right now today, then you might as well just give up? Because the thing that I've learned is that time is going to keep passing. So whether or not I make progress towards a goal or not, in 5 years, I'm either going to be exactly in the same place I'm in right now, or I'm going to have taken some action towards my goals and potentially given myself a chance to change my outcome in life. There's no guarantees, but it's one of those things that we have to give ourselves permission to constantly be in that growth and reset and try again mode versus, well, I didn't do a good job the first time, or, I've not succeeded at my dream however many times, so I'm just going to stop trying. And I think that's also true about relationships. I think that's the reason that we have so much, so much of a divorce rate, and not that everyone gets married, but just so much, unhappiness in relationships. I mean, heck, the reason I even have a job, right? Is that there are people that really feel, well, okay, this relationship isn't working. I'm just going to move on to something else. And not to say that every relationship should last forever and ever. And if someone's not happy, I don't want them to stay where they are. But if you don't spend some time looking at what's working or what's not working, looking at how you show up in a relationship and giving yourself permission to kind of evaluate it through a lens of growth and development and progress, you're probably going to repeat the same things over and over and over again. Just some food for thought. I'm just saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, mindset's everything, business, like Michael Jordan was just the first famous person I could think of that like everybody would know. But relationships and everything, it's all starts with your mindset, man, and then the choices you make.
It does. And it's like how, what's the word? Like how at odds or not are you with yourself? Like are you giving yourself permission to make changes, to grow, to develop? And so that's kind of what I'll leave you with, is that people have been asking, so who's a good candidate for this workshop, right? And yes, on some level, everyone could probably benefit, because I think everyone could benefit from communication help and knowing yourself better. And so much of the workshop is related to relationships, but it's also asking you to turn that mirror on yourself and look within and kind of look at how are you showing up in the world? So it's really going to be, I think, mostly tailored to people that are in a relationship and just feel kind of off track, or maybe they don't feel as connected, or maybe their relationship is falling flat in terms of the communication aspect. Like they're having the same conversation over and over and over again, and nothing's being accomplished. Feeling like we're having, stupid fights about things. And I don't mean stupid in a judgment way. I mean, we're fighting about, who's going to take the trash out or how we squeeze the toothpaste tube, when it's probably not about that. It's about what it represents on a deeper level. It also could be for someone that says, I have been in a string of relationships that have just not been great for me. I feel like I give more than I'm getting, or I'm repeating the same thing, or I'm having the same argument that I've had in every relationship. And it feels like, second verse, same as the first. And I'd really like to understand why, what's going on there. So it's really a good fit for any of those groups that I just kind of listed out. And probably even some more than that. That's just a good overview of kind of how to know if you're a good candidate for going through at least some stages of this workshop. So hopefully I will have more people sign up. I actually had a few go ahead and sign up last week. And for now, all of the pieces of the workshop are on like super discount, right? I mean, you get the initial workshop for $37 and then you get the full workshop for $297. And it's valued at more than $3,000 if you look at all of the stuff that I've put into it, what it would actually cost to see me one-on-one, and just all of the pieces and parts that sort of come together to make this workshop. So I tried to make it this very affordable thing that, you can go through with yourself, with a partner. You'll have lifetime access to the stuff that you sign up for. And then anytime I go in there and add additional pieces, like let's say I get some feedback that they need, somebody says, I really want like a worksheet to go along with this video. And I create that worksheet, you get access to that. You don't have to pay to get access again. So it's like pay once, get lifetime access. You'll have your own unique login to log into the system and go through the stuff at your own pace. So I feel like it's a no-brainer. You should probably sign up.
Absolutely. The best thing about it, it's all Lindsay and no Randy.
Hey, you never know. I may have to get you to do maybe we'll do a Lindsay and Randy episode. Yeah, a cameo. You'll just show up in one of the videos, be like, hey. No, it is kind of funny, but I don't want to belabor the point. I am really excited about it, though. I just feel like I finally was able to figure out the best way to actually implement things. So I'm going to keep talking about it because it makes me happy. And I'll keep giving y'all each week a little bit of like a little teaser, about what you might get either from the free thing, from the mini workshop, or the full thing, just so you have a little bit of an understanding of what it actually is. So there you go.
Yay.
When are you going to start doing comedy stuff again? Is that on the horizon yet?
Soon. I'm going to try to get up maybe next week. I don't know. We'll see how things are. I've been busy. I've been working, and I've had all this video brain frizzle thing going on. And
I gotcha. All right.
Some things around here to take care of, but I'm going to try to get out next week. I miss it. I got a bunch of new stuff. I'm overwhelmed with new material, so.
You got all kinds of sizzly brain stuff going on. I do like watching all of the funny stuff that you post in your stories on Instagram and whatnot. How can people follow you over there if they want to?
On the Instagrams at rcashcomedy. You'll find me and all my silliness.
Right. I try to tag you in my stories every now and then. Somebody asked me why I wasn't uploading the video version of the podcast to Instagram anymore. And for whatever reason, Instagram is not being real friendly with me. It's not letting me upload the longer video feed. So I'm just kind of having to go to my stories and put info in there. But I guess at least that way you can, play along. If people do want to follow along with what I've got going on, if you're interested in the workshop that I've been talking about, or any just basically details of things that I've got happening, go to my website, lindsaywalden.com. In addition to reading more about me and the services I provide, you can get access to the weekly blog that publishes on Monday at 2 p.m. You can also get access to all past episodes of the podcast. And there's an entire page that's devoted to the relationship communication workshop. Click on it and it takes you through the steps without you having to go to an outside link of some sort. You can also follow me on pretty much every social media platform. I think I'm almost on all of them now. But go to Facebook. It's Lindsay Walden Consulting or Lindsay Walden Therapy. On Instagram, it's at This Is Lindsay Walden. On Pinterest, it's Therapy Thoughts. And then on TikTok, it's at This Is Lindsay Walden. So I'm very easy to find. Feel free to check that out. Go check out my relationship communication workshop, and we will be back next week with more.